Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are diving deep into one of the most vital, but honestly, least understood parts of the body, the female pelvic floor. We're going to build it from the ground up, piece by piece, so you can see exactly how this incredible structure works.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by talking about why it's such an unsung hero. Then we'll actually build the bony frame and hang the muscular layers on it. After that, we'll see how it all works, what happens when things go wrong, and wrap up with why knowing all this is so incredibly important.
So, where do we even begin? Well, to really get this, we have to start by appreciating the non-stop critical work the pelvic floor is doing for you every single second of every single day. The answer is tucked away deep inside your core. It's this masterful web of muscles and tissues that is constantly, silently fighting against gravity. It holds your organs up, it helps you control essential functions. It truly is the body's unsung hero.
You know, the best way to picture the pelvic floor is as the sling or hammock. But don't just picture some lazy backyard hammock. Nope. This thing is active. It's an intelligent, responsive floor that's constantly adjusting. It tenses up when you cough, it relaxes when it's supposed to, all to provide this stable yet flexible foundation.
Okay, so every structure needs a frame, right? And for this muscular hammock, that frame is the bony pelvis. Let's take a look at the scaffolding it's all attached to.
And here it is. This is the bony pelvis. You can see these two big hip bones, and they fuse in the back to the sacrum, creating this super strong, protective bowl. Now, this shape isn't random, it's brilliant architecture. It provides all the crucial anchor points for the pelvic floor muscles to stretch across and do their job.
And I love this analogy because it just perfectly captures the engineering genius at play here. Just think about it. A huge stone cathedral. The walls want to push out, right? And they have these chains that hold it all together. Well, your pelvic floor muscles are doing the exact same thing, managing the constant downward pressure from inside your abdomen. It's an incredible feat of natural engineering.
All right, the framework is in place. Time to string up our hammock. But here's the thing. It's not just one simple sheet of muscle. No way. It's way more sophisticated than that, built with multiple layers, designed for both strength and precision. It's basically broken down into two main layers. You've got the deep, powerful layer called the pelvic diaphragm. That's the heavy lifter, the main support structure. Then, underneath that, you have the more superficial perineal muscles. Think of this one as providing more of the fine-tuned control right at the openings.
So this deep layer, this is what most people are actually talking about when they say the pelvic floor. The powerhouse here is the levator ani muscle group, which literally translates to lifter of the anus. Pretty descriptive, right? It forms this big, broad sheet that gives you that main upward lift. It also maintains what's called tonic closure, meaning it's always just a little bit tensed, kind of like holding a gentle fist, making sure everything stays closed and secure at rest. Okay, now this is a fantastic visual because it really shows you the difference we're talking about. Look on the left, see that superficial muscle? It's thinner, almost like a strap. Now look to the right, at the deep muscle. See how much thicker and more substantial it is? It's just visually obvious that the deep layer is built for serious structural work. And right in the middle of all that superficial stuff, you've got this absolutely critical part, the perineal body. The best way to think of it is like the keystone in an arch. You know, that central stone that locks everything else into place? That's what this is. It's this dense hub where a bunch of muscles connect, tying the whole lower structure together.
So we've built the whole structure, layer by layer. Now let's put it in motion. Let's really explore what this incredible system actually does, because its functions are, well, pretty vital to our daily lives.
So what's on its to-do list? Well, it's got 4 huge jobs. First up, support. Super simple. It just holds your pelvic organs up against the constant pull of gravity. Second, pressure resistance. You know when you cough or sneeze or lift something heavy? It tightens up instantly to prevent leaks. That's its job. Third, continence. This is the gatekeeper, plain and simple. And fourth, core stability. It doesn't work alone. It's a key player with your abs and back muscles, stabilizing your entire trunk.
Let's just zoom in on that continence job for a second and focus on the bladder. Now, the whole nervous system control is, incredibly complex, but the end result is actually pretty simple. The bladder really only has 2 settings, storage mode or elimination mode. That's it.
So how does that switch work? This is the really cool part of the design. Storage mode is the default setting. It's basically an automatic reflex run by your spinal cord that keeps everything clamped shut. But voiding mode, emptying, that's a conscious decision. A signal comes all the way from your brain, from a spot called the pontine micturition center, and it intentionally overrides that automatic store reflex. It's this perfect marriage of automatic and voluntary control.
So we know how it's supposed to work, but that also means we need to understand what happens when that amazing structure gets damaged or just weakens. Because if the foundation is shaky, the whole house is in trouble.
And it's really a mirror image, isn't it? When the floor is weak, the problems are the exact opposite of its main jobs. When that support function fails, you can get what's called pelvic organ prolapse. Literally, the organs start to drop. When the continence function fails, well, that can lead to urinary or fecal incontinence.
So what puts the pelvic floor at risk? Well, there are some pretty big ones. Pregnancy and childbirth are, of course, major events. Menopause is another because of hormonal changes that affect the tissues. But it's not just the big life events. Chronic stuff, like constant high-impact exercise, or straining all the time because of constipation, or the continuous load from obesity, all of that puts a ton of stress on these muscles over the long haul.
And if you really want to understand the sheer force involved in childbirth, just look at this number, 3.3. Computer models have shown that during a vaginal delivery, the levator ani muscles can be stretched to 3.3 times their resting length. I mean, just picture stretching a rubber band that far. It's just mind-blowing. And while it shows how resilient the tissue is, it also makes it crystal clear how vulnerable it is to injury.
Okay, let's zoom back out. We've built this thing from the ground up, we've seen it in action, and we've seen what can go wrong. But what's the big takeaway here? Why is all this knowledge so empowering?
If you remember nothing else from this, remember these 3 things. Number 1, the pelvic floor is the foundation of your core. It's absolutely essential. Number 2, it is not a passive hammock. It is an active, dynamic, multi-layered muscle system. And number 3, and this is the most important one, really understanding its anatomy and how it works, that is the absolute first step to keeping it healthy for your entire life.
At the end of the day, this is the literal foundation of our core. So isn't it time we all understood it? By pulling back the curtain on this anatomy, by seeing how all the pieces fit together, we're replacing mystery with actual knowledge. And that empowerment, that's the real foundation for taking charge of your own health.